We enter Bangladesh in the world of microfinance as part of a field study trip in order to learn more about this innovative method. It has been touted as socially and economically empowering poor women through providing them access to small loans in order to start their own businesses. We visit a variety of microfinance organizations, all of which almost exclusively provide loans to women. It is like a dream. The world of microfinance is flooded with miraculous images of women's empowerment, of them taking control and having their own businesses, through a very basic addition, putting money into the hands of women. When we first enter this dream world, we have expectations of a perfect institution and program.
Earlier women were only in the house. Now they are coming forward. Yes, they are becoming involved. They themselves are implementing individually income generating activities. Even though they are going to the market, they are sharing ideas, they are receiving different information from outsiders. Earlier, just 20 years back, they were as the ornament of the house. They were for cooking and for nothing and taking care of the children. But nowadays, they are doing everything what a counterpart does.
There are women who claim that microfinance provides them with resources for them and their families to lead better lives.
Now she is maintaining on 30 to 40 taka savings. So you have to see one thing, she has started with this organization with 2 taka and now 30.
আবার এই যে গাবি কিনছি করছি মনে করেন আমরা এই ব্যবসা বাণিজ্য করে মনে করেন এই কিস্তি চালাইতেছি
We begin to notice that the women's families, particularly their husbands and sons, play a large role in the microfinance process.
Her husband helps her.
Members of groups and who are able to take loans and the families who aren't able to take out loans? Like, is there some kind of social divide or like anything?
আপনাদের লোন নেওয়ার মধ্যে কি দেখে এরা মনে করেন যে একটা পরিবার যদি লোন দেয় কি দেখে লোন দেয়
বাড়ি দেখে ঘর দেখে গাড়ি দেখে কি আছে না আছে স্বামী আছে ফলাফল পাজন আছে দেখে দেয়
There seems to be a blurred line between whether women are actually running and founding their own businesses or simply helping their husbands.
They consult with their husband and then they take the decision. Otherwise, it will be a family crisis. That whether these people are investing by themselves or they are investing in their husband business. From that, you will be able to do some analysis whether these people have the full control on their own investment.
In fact, we notice that when women are given money, they hand the money into the hands of their husbands or a male family member.
She is telling in very interesting way. What I'll do, I just give it to my husband. Husband যদি কিস্তির টাকা না দেয় তখন কি করেন? She is telling, of course, she must have to pay.
This keeps going on, but I don't know how much of it is working or not.
in terms of taking the money and using it to generate income.
And of course, there is a male bias of using the money in the family. Like even though a lot of women get the money, but they don't have the authority over the money. Like they just hand it to the family.
If they are irregular, the next time they are not going to get that money.
The men know.
And that man. These are all interrelated. Don't have any own economic activities. She just given that amount to her husband. But as that her husband took money from her, so somehow he has indirect control on them. Because without her help, her husband cannot manage that money. Because these people will not give that money to her husband. So to get the money from her, that husband must take care of her. This is the reciprocal things. you can say.
Some think women giving money to men helps empower women and is changing gender dynamics within the household and consequently wider society.
Your husband is getting money by you. Without you, he would not receive the fund and could not expand his business. So your presence in the group and your contribution in terms of transferring this loan to your husband has become very important.
Others feel that the men receiving money are not changing, but are merely using money for their own ends.
You empower a woman, you need two things. One is basic need also, and another is some empowerment issue is controlling and decision making, choice. And this is less than in our country. This three part in decision making goes to men, and also choice, and also control, this money controlling. They earn more money, they produce something in their house, but controlling part depend on their husband. That is difficulties remain in our country now. But if we think this
initially it started microcredit. That time man were that not much happy with all these activities. But with the time period when that women had started to earn the income, and they also dependent on women for the fund and all this issue, then they started to compromise with the situation. And slowly when they compromise with the situation, they started to see that somehow they are gaining. So now they are adjusting and coping with the situation. And basically, if you go and ask a man, he will not that much happy with it all. They never want that my control mechanism will be someone else, because these people are very much dominating. And the man is happy because
what she is telling, that is her assumption. It might be. But what I say, that is the reality. That is the reflection of the field. I think she's joking. And but the thing is, at present,
I just want to mention that men are most unpredictable. You cannot predict this. No, I'm not making jokes.
What we are discovering is that the cultural norms of society are shaping the operations and results of microfinance.
On the job, and then they work. But generally, what we found that in our members, among our members, many of them went for job, but then came back because of the family problem. This remain always. No? They're trying, they're trying to go in the industry to work, but somehow there is a problem from the family. It is there always.
One of the interesting norms in Bangladeshi culture is a common practice of women bringing money to men in the form of a dowry. This tradition involves a father giving money to his daughter, which he hands over to her future husband and his family, as a transaction cost for the marriage. After women hand money to their husbands, men often use the money for their own power and control over women. This imbalanced power dynamic, which is perpetuated and exacerbated by money, can lead to domestic violence.
He is asking money from her. Bring money from your family. But she doesn't want to, but she cannot bring money from her family. So sometimes they also do like this, torture, kind of torturing.
Could microfinance unintentionally be assuming the role of the father in the dowry process by giving money to women who then give it to their husbands? The microfinance directors, almost entirely men, at times seem to directly assume this paternalistic role by negotiating directly with husbands before giving money to the women.
Our monitoring system is, before sanctioning the loan, we go to their house. We discuss with their husband that, do you know about the loan and how the loan will be utilized? And accordingly, the discussion is made between TMSS and their family.
There are some studies which show that microfinance leads to domestic abuse. It is likely that the abuse is not a direct result of microfinance itself, but rather because there is already a culturally embedded practice which is linked to domestic violence when women hand money to their husbands.
The lives of excluded people are pretty tragic sometimes, with or without microfinance. Then if we add microfinance to the equation, or are their lives better or worse, or that's a really tough one to figure out. Yeah, I can imagine a case where the access to microfinance might be in an already unhealthy household situation, might be made worse by that. At the same time, you might then go to a quite healthy situation and say that it actually has helped.
Another issue is that the very goal of empowering women contradicts cultural images of what it means for women to be powerful within Bangladeshi society.
This goddess, the myth is she is supposed to be very cruel. And she went out nighttime to kill people and bring the heads. So her husband wanted to stop her. And one night, when she went out killing people, her husband lied down on the road. So on the way back, she stepped on her husband. I mean, she's supposed to be the, cruelest goddess. Yeah. In Hindus, they have a goddess of education, goddess of wealth, goddess of different goddess, and she's the goddess of power and evil things.
Power and evil things.
Yeah. She's very strong goddess.
Throughout every society, gender roles begin in childhood. However, it is important to keep in mind that these gender norms, particularly of negative connotations associated with powerful women, are not just a problem specific to Bangladesh. This is a microcosm of a wider global issue which affects all societies, particularly the US, of powerful women being seen in a negative light and how gendered roles also shape the way money and power are interpreted. These issues don't affect women or men as separate entities. In every society, it is impossible for women to stand apart from men. They are always viewed in relation to wider society, to their community, and to men. When women try to stand apart from men and separate themselves from the family dynamic, it's very difficult. For instance, when women try to leave an abusive husband.
Her husband doesn't do any work, and he was engaged with some other illegal activities, drinking and all these things. So somehow he was torturing her. But man doesn't want to give the divorce, but he likes to do the tortures on women. They don't want, most of the time they don't want to give the divorce, because if he will give the divorce means he has to compensate. But he will do the torture. Maybe he will go do the second marriage.
However, microfinance has introduced an interesting structure in which 10 to 20 women form a cohort. This group meets weekly in order to ensure everyone pays their loans, but it has also created a space for women in the public sphere to discuss issues. Whereas previously, women were relegated to the private sphere within their house.
Today they are able to speak with me, but if I can remember in my childhood, if I come anybody's house, being a girl also, they never come out from their own room. So this is the place, got a platform where they can discuss about so many things. And especially now the man, they are a little bit afraid about this people, because now they are in group. If someone is beaten by her husband, then he has to face remaining 10 women, because they won't leave that person. Previously, it won't happen. So from my perspective, this microfinance has one of the main advantages, is the institutional building among themselves.
It seems as if women acting together might be an effective method in order to combat issues within the household, such as domestic abuse.
Incident that someone husband is misbehaving with her,
because she's so popular.
Then what would be your reaction? Then they are telling that we all go together and beat that person to their house and try to solve this problem. And first time they want to do it mutually. Then if they then don't agree, that means these people also aggressive. That's why I'm telling that this is one platform. They can easily raise their voice. Even the last 6 to 7 years they are working together. So they know everybody's house structure, what is going on their house. They have the very good neighborhood connection. Yeah. And this is the social capital.
We emerge from the stream with some insights as well as questions. Microfinance doesn't directly or immediately change family dynamics or empower women as individuals, but it does introduce a new type of social capital, creating a dynamic which we didn't originally anticipate. What we've seen is that there is a dialectic which shapes the respective relationships between men and women, between NGOs and the community, between men and women within the NGOs, and between women and other women, both old and young. The intersection between these relationships all change each other. Nobody ended up where they expected. The men didn't end up where they expected, the women didn't end up where they expected, nor did the NGOs end up where they expected. We entered this dream expecting microfinance to change the world, when in fact the world was changing microfinance. And things will keep changing. Will this be the same story for their daughters?